Hello, we're Biscuiteers, the original hand-iced biscuit company, and each year we ice around 3 million biscuits by hand, and today we'll be showing you how to ice biscuits for beginners. If you're just starting with decorating your biscuits, or you're an old hand, we have some handy tips and tricks in here for everyone. You will need some biscuits to practice on, shape doesn't matter here, some piping bags and some squeezy bottles. You will also need 150 millilitres of cold water and 900 grams of royal icing mix. We went for our all-in-one basic royal icing recipe. You can use this for both line and flood icing. Let's start with your line icing. Combine all your ingredients into a mixing bowl and start slowly so you avoid clouds of icing sugar filling your kitchen. Continue whisking until the ingredients form a thick, smooth paste that is bright white in colour and has the consistency of toothpaste. When it comes to adding colour, you want to add the smallest amount. Just remember that you can always add more, but you can't take it away. We started with just a pinprick and then added more once that was mixed in so we could see the full colour. A little really does go a long way. Next, you will need to put your line icing into a piping bag. To do this, put your hand into the piping bag and fold it down. This is the easiest way to do this. Next, take a spoon and drop your icing into the piping bag. You can scrape the spoon along the piping bag so you get everything off and into the bag. Once you've filled your bag about 2/3 full, you can squeeze the mixture down and tie a knot at the top of the bag. This stops any icing coming out the wrong way when you're piping. This can be a little fiddly, but you just need to take your time. Twisting the bag really helps. Once your knot is secured, you will need to trim down the seam of the bag. This allows for a much smoother icing experience, like we do here. Again, trim as little as you can make the hole bigger, but you can't make it smaller. Once you've snipped your desired amount, just squeeze a little out with your fingers and wipe away from the tip so that you have a clean start. Now that you have the basic recipe, let's get a little more technical. Let's start with your line icing. Place your piping bag down on your biscuit and then push some icing out. Lift your bag up and follow the outline of your biscuit, and once you're finished with the line, just slowly tap your piping bag back down onto the biscuit. We always recommend practicing on a piece of baking parchment beforehand, just so that you can get the hang of it. The line icing acts as walls of your biscuit so that when you flood it, all the icing doesn't run off. We suggest to let the line icing dry for around 5 minutes before adding your flood icing. To avoid a jagged line, you will need to lift up your piping bag, and when you want to change direction and don't want a curved line, just drop it back down and then carry on the line. Onto the flood icing. To make this, we just take our leftover icing from before and slowly add a few spoonfuls of water. The flood icing is always runnier than the line icing. At Biscuiteers, we use little clear plastic squeezy bottles for our flood icing. For any tiny errors, it can be easier to use a piping bag sometimes. For simple designs or when you're starting out, you can just spoon the icing onto the biscuits and spread out using a cocktail stick or a little skewer. If you're using a squeezy bottle, start from the edge and work your way inwards, just slowly squeezing as you go. You can use a toothpick to poke any bubbles that might have landed in your mixture, like we are doing here. This just makes for a much smoother finish. We dry ours in an oven at 50 degrees Celsius for around 30 minutes. This doesn't cook the biscuit at all, it simply dries the icing. And there we go, you have learnt the beginner's guide to icing. We can't wait to see your designs, and if you make any, please tag us using the handle @BiscuiteersLTD or the hashtag BiscuiteersMagic. And if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Happy creating!